Hi there, welcome to our IB Biology revision series on origins of cells, section A2.1. This is for higher level students only. So the formation of carbon compounds, really important. So you've got the early years on Earth, objects entered from space. This allowed the planet to grow and cause the temperature to rise. So the Earth's early atmosphere consisted of water vapor, and this was a result of volcanic eruptions. Now, interestingly, you had the main gaseous compounds, which were methane, ammonia, carbon dioxide, and hydrogen. So when we look at it, prehistorically, carbon dioxide and methane were present at higher concentration, allowed UV to penetrate into the early atmosphere. The Earth retained it, result in higher Earth temperatures. Now, this is really important because what happens is that the early Earth's atmospheric components, along with the high temperature and lightning, cooling resulted, and this resulted in the formation of the carbon compounds. So then what you had was this functions of life. So you've heard, we all know metabolism, chemical reactions that occur within the organism. You then had growth, reproduction, and the really important concept was responding to stimuli. And then we had homeostasis, nutrition, excretion. So all of these processes combined then really are the kind of main processes for the function of life. So, like with everything with the functions of life, you've got the principle of the cell theory, and you will find in various topics that there will be principles that we will go over. So, what this principle is saying is that all organisms are composed of one or more cells. Okay, basic rule. Cells, we know, are the smallest units of life. All cells come from pre existing cells, and the famous scientist who discovered it was Robert Hooke in 1665. So then you have this concept of the evolution of the cell. So we know cells are the main structures. Then we have protocells or simple cells appear in a prebiotic environment. So the prebiotic environment then allows more complex cells to appear. And there are three stages associated with it. So the synthesis of small carbon compounds from abiotic molecules from the Miller-Urey experiment, and then obviously you have small organic molecules joining together to form large chains called polymers. The polymers then becoming contained in membranes, okay, which is really important. And then you're creating a protective homeostatic environment around the polymers, okay, and this separates them from their surroundings. And then the development of self-replicating molecules, okay, so this self-replicating then allows things like asexual reproduction to occur by mitosis, producing genetically identical offspring, which we will talk more about later. So you've got this concept of the evolution of the cell. So these large chains are formed by enzymes. Now, enzymes are proteins that act as biological catalysts. They increase the rate of reaction. Now, enzymes contain hydrogen and carbon. And what's really important now is the nature of science concepts. A student should appreciate that claims in science, including hypotheses and theories, must be testable. In some situations, scientists have to struggle with hypotheses that are difficult to test. In this case, the exact conditions on prebiotic Earth cannot be replicated, and the first protocell did not fossilize. So what that means is you've got certain hypotheses, okay, you've got certain theories. However, these may not be tested because you cannot emulate the conditions, or you can't recreate the conditions. So these are some of the considerations that you do have to make. Thank you very much for listening to this presentation on IB Biology.